No, you do not need a contractor. You can build a house without any general contractor and save yourself in excess of over $40,000, and this is how. I'm gonna run you through 5 different steps on what to go through to be able to do what's called an owner build and be able to retain the profits that a general contractor would normally take in lieu of going out and having to have a general contractor facilitate the build on your behalf. So one of the biggest things is most people don't realize that they themselves can go out and build their own home or build a home to live in for 2 years as a business model that allows you to take advantage of the tax incentives as a single family homeowner, where you can go in and write off up to $500,000 for married couples and over $250,000 for single individuals. Now, one of the big things is being able to understand what the banks are looking for and how you yourself can go out and facilitate an owner build to retain the profits. Now, general contractors will come in. There's 3 different ways that they're going to build predominantly. In reality, there's multitudes of ways that they can charge you. Number 1 is what's called a bid model. Number 2 is going to be what's called cost plus. And number 3 is going to be a fixed flat rate. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that the bid model is going to take the vast majority of your profit, and the reason why is because most people that are building a single family home, the contractor has to also manage motion. And the decision-making process for homeowners is typically so lengthy that the general contractor themselves have to manage through the build that would normally take 6 months for almost a year or sometimes longer, depending on the homeowner themselves and what they're dealing with as far as choices and as far as finished trim. And so a lot of times they'll go in and they will take all of the equity from the home. So if the home, for example, is an $800,000 home, and if the build cost is someplace right around $450,000 minus the lot, you're going to have, so let's say it's a $450,000 build. Okay. Now, if you go in this $450,000 bill, let's say you pay $100,000 for the actual lot itself. Okay. Now, if you come in, that's $550,000. There's lending fees and there's also closing fees and some other stuff that you have to take into account. But overall, in perspective, there's about $250,000 that's left over. Okay. So about $250K. Now, the contractor is going to go in. This might be someplace in the neighborhood of about $155 per square foot. This is what you would owner build for right here. This is what you would owner build for. This is your raw execution cost, okay? Now, you're going to have a spreadsheet you're going to have to provide the bank. This spreadsheet that you provide the bank is going to have all the costs associated with it. The spreadsheet is going to look something relatively close to this one right here. This spreadsheet right here has every single line item that you're going to have on the bill. There's nothing that's eliminated from these line items. It's everything from soft costs, the architecture, the engineering, the survey cost, the cost of permitting, the cost of dirt work, the cost of the foundation, the lumber package, the lumber labor, the roofing, the electrical, the plumbing, the mechanical, the heating, the cooling, the drywall, the insulation, the whole 9 yards. Everything on this line item is there, including the appliances and all finished trim items. Now, when we go in and we give this to the lender, we ourselves are also going to execute on what's called the retail prices, because you need to have a contingency. And so a lot of what's baked in the overall cost for a general contractor under the bid model is going to be this $250,000. Now, if they execute, what's going to happen is they're going to lose some of this to your inefficiency as a homeowner, indecisiveness of being able to make decisions, and time. And so maybe $50,000 of this gets eliminated because your build cost goes up because of the indecisiveness to build, irrational trim items that don't even need to be included in the home, but because the cost depicts the value to the homeowner, sometimes they'll pick more expensive items thinking that those items are of higher quality, and they're not. Being able to go in and know the difference is a big deal. Now, you're not going to learn all of this on your very first build. So we always underwrite our builds at a little bit more expensive price. A good basis for an owner build cost to build is about $165 a square foot. Now, nationwide average is $141 per square foot, according to the National Association of Home Builders. And so we know that if we're going in, we're doing an owner build, there's choices to make. We want to go and build a nice home, because ultimately the goal is to exit that home at some point in time, whether that's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or for some of you guys building your dream home, you may never want to sell the home, but you still want to retain that equity in the house. And so that $50,000 gets eliminated in additional trim items that ultimately goes to your bottom line and your overall build cost. Now, there's $200K left over. Who does this go to? This typically goes to the contractor under bid model, and you get left with maybe $10,000 in overall equity in the house. Most people that are doing owner builds, it's the contrary. They go so overboard that this $800,000 house becomes a $900,000 house, a $900,000 build because of emotion. They start adding quirky stuff that nobody else wants, needs, or is irrational because this is going to be their quote unquote dream home. And so you have to do this as a non-emotional business. One of the biggest mistakes that most people make doing an owner build is the irrational spending that they do when they go in. We just did a house that sold for $920,000. Beautiful home. You can look the house up. It's a 10 basket weaver in Placitas. If you go in and you look at that house, the flooring in that house cost me 85 cents a square foot. Now, it's not because the quality of the tile is any less than the tile that cost $4 a square foot. The only difference, it was a liquidation and it's a grade 1 tile, meaning it's the highest quality of tile that you can buy. But they bought containers of it. And so down at Floor and Decor, when they buy containers of it, that means the trailer containers that come in on the trains, they need to get rid of it because of supply and demand. They don't want those crates sitting. That material has to move. And so if they're picking up that material at 30 cents a square foot, they're still profiting. And the more they buy when it comes in mass quantity, the cheaper it is for the actual distributor, the end retailer, and you get to pick it up at a discounted price. And so if you look at it and it's still a grade 1 tile, you look at the tile's high quality, the quality of the material isn't going to change. It's ceramic tile. The vast majority of it's made either in Mexico or in China, overseas, some of it in Thailand. That stuff's all coming in the exact same way. And the porcelains, the ceramic, you can go in and save an immense amount just by knowing the different grades of the tile and what you're actually buying. And so when we go in, I use that as an example because people will spend weeks, days, and months burning time to pick a high quality tile that they believe is a higher quality because it's $6 a square foot and it's no higher quality than the one I paid 85 cents for. And so when we go in, we warranty them the exact same way. The livability on them is the exact same quality, and we've done it this way for almost 30 years. Now, when we go in, ladies and gentlemen, what happens is you may have $5,000, $10,000 in equity, or you might actually be over on a bid model. Okay, so I don't care for the bid model that much. Now, when you go in, the cost plus is typically about 15% cost of labor and materials. So you take the overall cost and that 15% on $450,000 times 0.15 is about $67,000. So your cost to the contractor on a cost plus model is about $67K, okay? Provided that you keep within this realm right here. If you go over, this may change to $80,000. The more you spend, the more you pay them, okay? So managing, it's not in their incentive. They're not incentivized to go out and save you money. In fact, they're incentivized to help you spend money. And so the only downfall is that this, you have to be a good manager to do. Now, flat rate is good too. A lot of times contractors will come in, they don't know how to do a bid model and they're scared. They don't want to lose money. They want to make sure that at the end of the day, they have a contractual obligation that gives them a return on investment. And for the bid model, a lot of times these guys have great contracts. And if they don't have great contracts, they're exposing themselves to major liability. So one of the biggest things for a lot of contractors that are less sophisticated is going in and doing a flat rate and saying, I'll build the house for you for $50,000, okay? Or $60,000. You give me $20,000 when I start, you give me $20,000 when I'm done with framing, and then upon completion, when I get a certificate of occupancy, you give me another $20,000. And so if that build goes in, and if they have 5 of these going on a year, 2 of these going on a year, and they're doing it for $50,000 or $60,000, they're not doing too bad. They're still making 6 figures. Even if they did 2 of them a year, they're making $120,000 a year doing your build for $60,000 and somebody else's build for $60,000. That's not a bad living for a simple general contractor only doing 2 builds a year, and they get a lot of freedom and flexibility. So all 3 of these business models are what you're saving on doing what's called an owner build, ladies and gentlemen. And so you can literally take this $200,000 and you can put that right down to your bottom line in what we call equity. Now, here's what's advantageous about that. Let's go to the next page here, is that when you have $200,000 in equity and you get a lender to go out and look at the actual financing on your spreadsheet, you have all your line items on here, they're going to give you someplace between 95% to 80% leverage, okay? You go in, you do FHA, you do some type of first-time home buyers program. For an owner build, you do what's a one-time close. You can go in, and there's even credit unions and small banks and lenders in your local area that'll give you up to 95%, even non-FHA lending. But FHA gives you the ability to go in and do what's called a one-time close construction to perm loan. And so it's a one-time close construction to permanent loan that FHA will allow you to do. Now, if you go in, you get a traditional loan, and they know you want to sell that house, they're going to give you something closer to about 80% loan to value, okay, your LTV. Now, If we have $200,000 in equity in this build based on our underwriting, now you go in, you can collateralize your equity towards this down payment, giving you the ability to be $0 out of your own pocket. Now, when you go in, and let's say, for example, that house is worth $800,000. We go in, you do the comps. And one of the biggest things with owner builds is that you want to be careful where you build. If you want to have the equity in the build, you have to confirm it with comps, okay? Comps depict everything. And one of the big things that you want to do is make sure that you're heavy on comps, because if you don't have the comps that you need to support the resale value of the house, you may feel like the value of that house is $800,000. But if there's not affirmation that the actual value of that house is $800,000, then you're going to put yourself in a position when somebody goes in, purchase this home 2 years down the road, you may not get $800,000 for that house because there's no comp to support it. So the bank is apprehensive to go in and lend on it based on the lack of comp. So they're going to value the house based on fair market value. And if the fair market value in your area is maybe you have it at $300 a square foot, they may only have it assessed at $279 a square foot. That may cut into your overall finished equity of your house. And so we want to make sure that we check comps first. Why? Because that's what banks do. Banks want an appraisal. The appraiser's job is to give them like properties that are within 300 square feet of the overall size of that house and less than 1 mile away that have sold within the last 6 months to a year, and get affirmation that that like product is selling on the open market for the exact price that you're going to be valuing and selling your home for or living in it, so that way they can give you a loan. And this loan to value is going to be based on the comps themselves. Now, provided that that's worth $800,000, if we go in and we take that $800,000, we multiply the $800,000 even by the 80%, okay? We take $800,000 times 0.8, that's $640,000, okay? That's what the bank is willing to lend on this house that's valued at $800,000, provided they only give you 80% leverage. Now, we've subtract that from $800,000. That's $160,000. If they're going to, that's $160,000 in equity that you need. We have $200,000, so we actually are in excess of $40,000, meaning that you can go in, get this loan right here with $0 out of pocket, because you're going to collateralize the equity that you have in your build that you created right here. This is your total cost of $550,000, including the land. So if you go in and you have $200,000 in equity, you need $160K, but because you have it in equity, the bank will collateralize the equity against the build and the overall profitability of that house to be able to take this and utilize it towards that 80%, because all you need is $640,000. And what's cool about that is all you need is $550,000, and that includes the purchase price of the land itself. So if you don't own your land and you need the land purchased, maybe you go in, you purchase the land, or you do an owner finance contract, or you even finance that lot to be able to go in and exit that money and go in and get less expensive debt on that land is super advantageous. And so to be able to go in and include the land in the actual build cost is so beneficial for so many people doing owner builds, because it gives them more bandwidth and leverage, and it frees up more capital. And liquidity is king, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if you're in business or you're doing an owner build. When you have liquidity, you have freedom, because that liquidity allows you to go out and compound money, utilize it in multitudes of ways. And so when you go out and you understand benefits and attributes of the banks and how they work, you can leverage those tools to be able to go in and take and collateralize them against your asset and utilize other people's money to go out and ultimately leverage your build with very little to no money out of pocket, and be able to compound your capital to utilize it in other investments in other areas. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a perfect example. If you go in and you need to purchase the land and you don't have the capital to do so, or you want to exit the money out of your own land. Now, for those of you guys that have your own land, you're even in a better place, provided that you get the comps that you need. The only apprehension that I have when people have pre-existing land is, does that land support comp that give you the overall finished value of the house you need, get the lending and the stabilized equity out of that house upon completion? Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn how to buy land, build houses, and be able to take the equity and utilize it, this is one of the most perfect ways to do it. And one of the big things is you don't have to go out, and it's not ultimately about getting wealthy. For a lot of people, it's just about freedom and flexibility to position yourself to be able to go in. And if you did this once every 2 years or 3 years, and you positioned yourself, and let's say over the course of a lifetime of a 30-year working professional, you did a handful of these, 4, 5 of these over the course of time, with a $200,000 compounded over 5 of these, that's over $1 million. Now, you have a paid off home, free and clear, no debt. Most people live on about a 50 to 60% debt to income ratio. Now your debt to income ratio goes down to maybe 20% or less, depending on whether you have car payments, what you're doing as far as property taxes, insurance, and food, and whatever else you're living on. But ladies and gentlemen, just to be able to free up the mortgage payment alone on your home, what if you went out, you did this on your very first home, and you sat on this home for the next 2 years, and in the end of 2 years, you also get a 2% appreciated value. You go in and you do this methodically, you have up to a $250,000 equity stance in that home. Over the next 2 years, if you just get normal 2% annualized growth, you take $800,000 times 2%, that's $16,000 a year times 2 years. That's an additional $32,000 in equity that you gain in that home over the next 2 years, just with a modest 2% living increase, which is the average living increase nationwide is between 1.5 and 2%. And so if you take $32,000 and add that to the $250,000, that's $282,000. You do that 5 times over the course of time, you're going to have $1.4 million in equity and liquidable cash to be able to retire on. And here's what's cool. You can utilize that so that you don't have a mortgage payment. If you go in and if you take that $250,000, you do it twice, you could build that same house at $550,000 just with the equity alone in that house and be mortgage free in less than 4 years. You could be mortgage free in less than 2 years. You go in and you do 2 of these in the next year, next 18 months, next 24 months, you can go in and utilize either the profitability or the equity tax-free if it's your primary residence to be able to push against your physical home and then go in and utilize that at your raw build cost on a retail value and be $0 into your mortgage and position yourself to be able to collateralize that equity and be able to be mortgage free. And it's all about lifestyle. For more tips on how to go in and buy land, build houses, and take advantage of the attributes, the tax benefits, the mortgage benefits, and the overall benefits of profitability and equity in any build, then click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'll bring you more content. We'll give you live content on how to document the process, buying land and building houses. But until next time, click and subscribe, pound that thumbs up button, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the other side.